This week on the OneCast, we're joined by Lewis, the Bass Warrior Fernandez of the NPFL.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad.
Get
son.
that. Huh?
It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What's going on, OneCast fans? Welcome back to another episode of the OneCast. Excited this week to be joined by another National Professional Fishing League angler, the league, Lewis Fernandez. But real quick, before we bring him on, we got to make sure we talk about our sponsors. Ben, you want to talk about your company that's been
absolutely,
obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you all join that snagless revolution if you haven't done so up until this point, or if you're a new fan of the podcast. So go over to onecastfishing.com, get stocked up on your snagless jigs, long neck hook. Look, bed fishing, spawn season's coming. You're going to want that hook when they're just picking up the tails. Get yourself some weedless Ned soft plastics. And while you're there, check out some of the OneCast merch as well. I got the hat on right now.
That's right. Yeah. And speaking of hats, if you're looking for something else, maybe not the OneCast hat, you can head over to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code, the OneCast, all one word. They've got a bunch of new hats they just released. They have the old staple classics, performance UPF wear, casual t-shirts. I'm rocking one there. This is one of the new hats. Probably kind of hard to see, but it's a little bit different. Pebble camo design. So I saw it at the show. We worked in Greensboro, and I thought it was pretty slick, so I grabbed one. But again, that's CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code, the OneCast, at checkout, and save 20% off your order.
Speaking of being slick, what's slick right now is APR, interest rates coming down on homes and stuff like that. So if you guys are in the market of looking for your own little piece of paradise tucked away in the woods, get away from that concrete jungle, hit up our boy Eric Schwind at Mossy Oak Properties. So Schwind, ESCHWIND at mossyoakproperties.com, or you can shoot him a text, give him a call at 936-494-9686, and you'll be able to get in contact with him. He's got a ton of different properties, from rolling hills, waterways, landscapes that you guys are really hungry for. You guys are going to want to check him out. So he will hook you up, 936-494-9686, or Schwind, ESCHWIND at mossyoakproperties.com. Let him know that the OneCast sent you. Appreciate it, guys.
And new sponsor, not really a sponsor, partnership. We're doing some collaboration stuff with them, but they're going to provide a code. We do not have the code yet. It's going through all their IT stuff and getting it set up. As soon as we have that, we'll get out to you. You've seen them on the show. You've seen us wearing them. You've seen us doing it on social media. They've provided some stuff for our giveaway, which you haven't joined yet. Make sure that you do. You can head over to our Facebook page or any of our socials to see how to do that. I think Trey's going to hold up the towel instead of just letting me say it.
You want to do the drum roll?
Yeah, let's see if he does it right side up. Oh, we got it all. We're going to do the full 360 with the Hobie Eyewear towel. So, yeah, Hobie Eyewear, super excited to be partnering with them. They sent us a little package the other day with a few things in it. We did an unboxing video, so we'll release that at some point. Hopefully, we'll have the code. All of us have been wearing their glasses for coming up on a year now. Really good glass at a super affordable price. The floating frame Hank Cherries he has there, which don't look like your other floating frame glasses. They don't have any big goofy frames to them, anything like that. $109 retail for the Hank Cherry floating frames. And it's high quality polarized glass, a bunch of different lens colors. Make sure you check out that episode with them. And like I said, we'll get that code to y'all as soon as we have it, and it should be pretty quick here in the next week or so. Yeah, so be sure to check out those sponsors that help us do that, our partners, the folks that we work with, because we really can't do this without them. Again, follow us on our socials to get details on how to join the giveaway. I'm not going to go into it right now. It's been on some other episodes. We do a Fishing Friday live every Friday. We talk about it there, and there's posts on the socials, so you can get it there. I don't want to delay anymore. There's a big time difference. We have, Lewis is coming to us from California. He's a California angler fishing the NPFL. And so there's a little bit of a time difference. So it's getting a little late for us. He's just winding down from his day. So without further ado, let me bring him in and let's talk to Lewis.
Lewis Fernandez, National Professional Fishing League Pro, West Coast surfer. I don't know if you're a surfer.
Everybody surfs from California, right?
I like his name tag, Bass Warrior.
Oh, no, he dropped. That's all right. He'll come back on here in just a second. There he is.
I probably fat fingered something and kick him back.
All right.
We'll get out of the technical difficulty.
Yeah, it's all good. Hey, you know what, man? We'll just throw it out there while we're doing this and all the listeners can hear it. If we run into technical difficulties, just go ahead and shoot me a text and we'll figure this out afterwards. But no, man, we appreciate you. You're 3 hours behind us here. We appreciate you taking some time out of your day. We know that you're getting ready to head down to Lake Amistad for the championship. So we don't want to take all your time, but we do want to get your story out there. We think it's really interesting. And so without further ado, can you just intro yourself to the people listening?
Absolutely. My name is Luis Fernandez, a.k.a. the Bass Warrior. Born in Santa Maria, California. Lived here my whole life through swim baits since I was 10 years old. Since anybody knew about swim baits, I was throwing swim baits. I actually started a swim bait company in probably 08, 09. It took off, went big. It got so big out of my garage, I started having to make them overseas, and then ended up selling the company in probably 2018. It was Villain Baits. The guy still has it. He sells them at Tackle Warehouse. Yeah, I just been fishing my whole life. My dad was a professional for 20 years. My dad was actually the first pro in California to be sponsored by Ranger Boats. So he was a Ranger. Awesome. Yeah, he was a Ranger Yamaha pro for 21 years. He never did the tour back east. But he, when One Bass was real big with the US Open and the One Bass Tour, he did all that. And then when BAS started coming out west for like probably in the late 90s.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when he was about winding down his career. So I've been around fishing my whole life. My uncles fish. I mean, just a big fishing family out here in California. But I just decided to make I did everything I could out here in California, and I thought, you know what? My time's running down. I better get back east. And that's when I made the jump back east probably 5 years ago. And man, I wish I would have did it a lot sooner. I wish I would have did. I did it now where my son is 16 now. He's got a truck and boat already. He's fishing. But I bought a place 5 acres right on Sam Rayburn. So we'll be living in Texas here in a couple years. Probably another year. Yeah, a year and a half. So I figure when we leave California, I'll be fishing full time. Probably try and do 2 tours and just fish full time.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So you came from a fishing family. Where would you say you cut your teeth as far as like tournaments are concerned? Would it be with One Bass or how did that work out?
Yeah, probably One Bass, Wild West. Well, not really Wild West because I just cherry picked Wild West, but One Bass was a big player out west. And plus the old FLW days.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the Guard days, the National Guard days. Do you guys remember the National Guard?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was like the best circuit, hands down, ever was the National Guard from FLW. The payback was awesome. The camaraderie was awesome. Just everything was awesome with that circuit. I was real bummed when that went away. But that's what the NPFL reminds me of, of the National Guard, FLW. I mean, I passed down my invite to MLF, two invites. 2 different years. I passed them up for the
to the invitationals.
Yeah, to the invitationals. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I qualified 1 year. That was the first year Brad came out with the NPFL, and dude, I prayed on it, and it took me like 2 months to decide what I wanted to do, if I wanted to give NPFL a try or go with the MLF invitationals. And I picked NPFL, and I'm so glad I did, dude. Like, NPFL, it's a badass circuit, dude. Look at it now. Look what we started from, and look at the year 4.
Yeah.
Guys,
it's really awesome to talk to you guys that started year 1 and have continued with the league, and you went through those hardships early on. I'm sure for you, this championship is just as bittersweet as it is for the owners, with what happened with the first year and the difficulties they ran into. If you don't know about that, listeners, go back and listen to our episode with Paul, both of them with Paul and Brad. Mm-hmm. We get into it a little bit about how that is, and to finally have that, that cultivating event at the end of the year, beginning of the next year, however you want to look at it, is super exciting. And I'm definitely pumped to see what goes on down there and to watch y'all.
Dude,
But I
can't
agree.
wait.
Yeah.
We
can't
talked
wait.
about that before, about the culture of the NPFL. But before I jump into that, let's rewind real quick, because you didn't just grow up as a full-time angler. What do you do? Like, you're a West Coast dude and you have a pretty blue collar gig, right?
Yeah. So I got a little HVAC company, little heating, air conditioning, sheet metal company. It's nothing big. Couple guys and me, and I cherry pick jobs now. I figure
It's okay.
you can't travel back east and live back here and do all that and work for somebody a 9 to 5. You can't do it. So, but I actually make more money coming home between tournaments, knocking a few jobs out, leaving again, coming home, knocking a few jobs out. I make way more money than I would have ever worked for somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's perfect. Like,
Yeah.
But I built it up now where in another year I won't have to do construction no more, because I've been in construction for like 26 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I've been 18, 26 years. So I'm over it. I feel my body start to break down a little bit. I just want to fish full time. Like this whole like the last 6 years, I made a 6-year plan to have a piece of property. And the property I bought in Texas in Rayburn, when we moved over there, it's 5 acres, and I'm going to turn it into an RV park. So it's going to be making money when I'm fishing.
Yeah.
So even if I have a couple bad years fishing, I'll still have money for the family, for everything else. I could have, a couple bad years and I'll still, even with sponsor, and even with how hard it is to get sponsor money. I mean, guys that fish professionally, I don't care who you are. I don't care from Jordan Lee down to the nobodies. I mean, it's so hard to pull money and can have your whole season paid for. It's really hard. So that's another reason I wanted to start like an RV park over there, just so if I have sponsor problems or something, I can make up that deficit right there.
That's super smart, man. Let me hold $1 because I'm one of them nobodies. So, but no, like, that's interesting you say that. We get a lot of guys that are seasoned. You're one of them. You're a veteran in the industry. But I remember, and I won't name names, but I remember probably a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so, we were having a conversation with a young angler. Exactly what I'm talking about. And I asked a question. I said, "What's your plans?" He said, "I'm gonna go to college, fish college level." I said, "What are your plans after that?" He said, "I'm gonna fish the Elite Series." I'm like, well, there's a lot between A and Z.
I think your follow-up
right?
question that was, what's your plan to make money?
Yeah, what's your plan to make money? So the point of it is like, yeah, you have fished and you have finally got to where you want to. Well, you're not even finally there yet. You're waiting to retire from that portion, move to the next chapter, which is in Sam Rayburn, but you already have a business plan going into that. So especially being a West Coast guy, like, you all don't get as much love on the West Coast. We just know it to be true. From a business perspective, how important was it for you to start your own deal to get to that 6-year plan and hit those benchmarks?
Dude, it's really important. I mean, so important. Like, if you don't have, here's the deal. You could be the best fisherman in the world. Like, I mean, you could be Jacob Wheeler, but if you don't have the financial back and the sponsors, you can't do it. You just can't. That has to be, especially where the sport is now. I mean, you can't, dude, to run a full season on the cheap side. Now, this is the cheap side. To run a full season, entry fees, everything, it's $60K. That's on the cheap side. That's staying at the cheap places. That's eating, that's penny pinching. It's $60K to run
it's like being a college student again.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So that's what I learned. Like, I've been a good, like, I don't want to I don't want to sound not humble or sound like I'm going to toot my horn, but I'm a pretty good fisherman, and I know I could cash checks. I know I could do this, but if you don't have that business, platform, or you don't have a full on, plan or income coming in from someone else besides your fishing, it's hard. It takes your mind off the fishing. What I tell everybody, when you have that family support and that financial support, and you're able to go to these tournaments and just turn your phone off and fish, and no worry about how you're going to make the next event, no worry about how you're going to pay the insurance for this, or how you're going to pay this base, or this trolling motor broke, or blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. Sure. If you're able to fish so free that's where everybody wants to be. That's where you're like, okay, now it's time to rack checks. Now it's time to build my career, my brand, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have, if you want to jump from A to Z and not figure out B, C, D, D, F, G, you just want to jump from here to here, you're going to crash and burn. 100%. You're going to crash and burn.
I'll tell you
100%.
what, yeah, I think, we hear so much about forward facing sonar. To me, it's a giant smoke screen. It's not the thing that everyone needs to be worried about right now.
No,
the things that we need to be talking about are the things we're talking about right now. How do you set yourself up financially to even achieve your dream? You can't, some people can do it. It's few far in between, but while everyone else is running around worrying about forward facing sonar, oh, that's cheating, or that's not traditional fishing. Luis Fernandez is making an RV park in Sam Rayburn, thinking about how he's going to get to the next tournament. Forget about forward-facing sonar. How am I going to catch him? But I can't catch him if I don't have the financial support to do it, right? So it's
how
a good
am I going to fish every year? How am I going to stay fishing, even if I have a bad year, 2 year, bad year, 3 year? How am I going to have my boat on the water every year and fish every year?
That's right.
I mean, that's the ultimate plan, right? I mean,
yeah.
You if you want to fish for a living, you want to fish professionally. Well, you ain't gonna be making no money if that boat ain't on the water.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of boats, man, because we're kind of on that economy topic, if you will. Are you one of those guys that flips a boat every year, or do you run what you buy?
I run what I buy. I could have got a boat deal from a couple different boat companies, but I run a 2021 Ranger. I've been with Ranger my whole career, and it's not like Ranger don't take care of me. Ranger takes care of me. I get awesome deals. But I'm not one of those guys that have to flip it and have a new boat every year.
Yeah.
Oh, actually going to switch boats next year. I'll run them for 3 years and then switch up. You don't need a boat every year. I mean, honestly, you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm a creature of habit. I like to get used to my boat and be, once I'm in a boat, I like to run it like 3 years, and then still I don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
I thought about that because like these guys switch all the time, and I know a lot of them have other people rig their stuff, but like a lot of guys rig their own stuff too. So they make sure it's right, or they've done it somewhere. I would hate to do that every single year.
Yeah.
Because I just rewired my boat with a new harness because it needed to be replaced. Right. And it's just a pain.
Yeah.
It is a pain just to strip all that stuff out and rerun it. And if you got to do that every single year, it's just.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of these guys, I think some of them are tied to doing that, right? Based on their contract.
It makes sense. Sponsors. If they're running they got to run the latest and greatest, right? For their, for their companies and make the marketing stuff. But if you don't have to do that, I mean.
Well, the way to not have to do that is don't go into business with companies that you need to rely on, vice going into business for yourself, like Lewis has done, like a lot of anglers have done. And we've talked to a lot of anglers. I mean, look at John Cruz, one of the most successful businessmen in the game, with Missile Baits. And he's just one of the many, or maybe one of the few, I don't really know, but like having a solid business plan that makes you not have to rely on everyone else.
Yeah,
affords you that opportunity to be like, dude, I'm comfortable with my 2021 boat. Like, I don't want to make a change. You know what I mean?
And that's when you start winning. When you're comfortable with your equipment, when you're comfortable at a tournament, when you're comfortable, when you're not going against the grain or going with choices that you didn't want, that's when you start winning and you're fishing free and you're fishing good and you're making good decisions. When you start, well, this sponsor wants you to do this sponsor wants you to do that, and you're not comfortable with it, it's going to end up bad, dude. I've seen it 100 times. It happened to myself. Like, it's just, you have to be comfortable when you're on that water.
Sure.
And you hear a lot of successful anglers, and I'm going to say, you said, you were trying to stay humble and didn't want to sound braggy, but it's a piss poor dog that doesn't wag his own tail every once in a while, is what I've always been told. Because I'm a lot the same way. Like, I don't want to talk about myself and what I've accomplished, but you got to wag your own tail every now and again.
Right.
But obviously you've been successful, and other anglers, when they're successful, something you hear, and you've said it several times already from almost every single one of them, is fishing free. When you don't have to worry about all life's BS, all the stuff going on. Trey and Ben, I'm sure, have seen it different before deployments. Like, you try to make sure all that stuff on the home front's taken care of before you go anywhere. because you don't want that on your mind when you're taking care of business away from home. It's the same with fishing. Obviously, you're not getting shot at and doing all that. I'm not trying to downplay
I don't know.
that,
You might
depending on where you're
getting shot at.
That's true. Which, not to get too far off track, but apparently down in Texas where there was a big high school tournament, and a guy was there to fish a club tournament, and he went to go around the line of boats to pull in the parking lot to get his boat ready, and one of the high school boat captains pulled a gun on him and asked him, he thought he was trying to cut in line to launch his boat.
No cutsies, bro.
Yeah.
No
yeah.
cutsies.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, I just heard about it on, I can't remember which podcast, but I was like, good. Oh, it was actually Slick Johnson was talking about it. Like, yeah.
Oh,
somebody
my
pulled
God.
a gun on the dude because he thought he was trying to cut line.
That's
so maybe
ridiculous.
you would, but
Man, maybe he gets a Glock sponsor after that.
Yeah, right. Benelli sponsor.
but that fishing free is such a huge
Yeah.
thing. And like you said, you have that, you can shut your phone off. You don't have to worry about who's calling you over whatever, stuff's handled, and you can just go fish, figure out what they're doing, stay dialed in, and do your job. And it's shown with your success, in the NPFL and everything else you've done.
You're absolutely right.
You have to stay dialed. You have to stay dialed. My first year on tour with the NPFL, not going to lakes anywhere I ever been on back east, and really making that jump from California to back east. It's just like so much stuff going on. I still did good. That year. I still would have made the championship, and I had like 2 top 10s. But I told myself after that next season, it took 2 years of just really traveling, and in these last 2 years, just turning everything off, being as free as I possibly can, not even responding to no one on my phone. And it's crazy the difference of, my years. Last year I had 4 top 10s and a win, and this year I've already started out with a top 5. And another thing, like even last year getting ready for terms, and this is only for me. I don't, you have to find yourself as a fisherman. And trust me, it takes years to find yourself. It takes methods. It takes doing that. Eventually you'll find yourself, but you just keep at it. But for me, like I'm an excited person. Like I get so excited over fishing. Like since I was, as if I was 8 years old, I still get excited. Just everything about it. So with me, like before a tournament leading up, like even right now, I leave at 4 a.m. tomorrow to fly to Amistad. I try not to get excited no more, because when I get too excited, I start I start not taking it as a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get too excited. I'm like, so now before tournaments, it's another day in the office. I try not, even though I want to be excited, and I'm doing summer, but just little things like that, finding yourself. I don't get excited. I just, go to the turn. I don't worry about, like before I used to do so much information on the lakes and so much of this. And I got to have every bait that everybody won a tournament on that lake. I got to have it all just blah, blah, blah. I don't do that no more.
We're all guilty of it, bro.
I don't even rig my rods before practice like I used to. I just put them in the boat, and then play on it as the day, and it seems to help so much better for me. But everybody's different too. That's why I said you really have to find yourself as a fisherman and what works for you. And like you said, that forward-facing sonar stuff. That, dude, I run a 12-inch on my council. Like I'm a full-on power fisherman, shallow fisherman, John Cox to the hilt. My first big win was on forward-facing sonar, but I'm not no crazy forward-facing. Yeah, I'm not a scoper. If you'd have told me my first national win would have been on scope, I'd have been like, yeah, right. No way. No. But I run a 12-inch graph on my 12-inch Lowrance on my council, and I run a 12-inch, Lowrance up there, and then a Garmin live scope. That's all I have. I don't go nothing crazy, nothing, and these guys that are running 3 graphs and 4 I need this, they're already under the gun with themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're already, they're already shooting themselves in the foot. I feel,
Yeah.
Especially these young kids that are thinking, oh, I need this, I need it. No, you just need time on the water. That's all you need. Time on the water. And if you, and I like it, like for instance, my son, he's, I could give him so much, just deals through what I got, sponsors through what I got, but he's on his own. Like, I'm there for him. He wants to go fish as a pro. Now that I told him that ain't gonna happen, you're gonna fish co-angler for at least 4 or 5 more years, because that's where you learn the most. I mean, if you talk to, I'm good buddies with Justin Lucas. Look at Justin Lucas. He's won like 3 boats as a co-angler, did it for 4 or 5 years. That's what I tell every young angler. That's where you'll learn the most ever in your career as fishing as a co-angler. Yep, and it don't matter. You're not going to a tournament just to try and win. That's what I told my son. You're not going there to win. You're going there to hopefully you get 3 good draws, or you could learn off those 3 different pros. That's right. It.
Yeah.
Well, it's like paying for an education.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
We need a scholarship for that.
Right.
Dude, so let's talk about the West Coast mentality. Everyone's different, but Aaron Martin's legend of the sport. You got Ish Monroe over there. You got you over there, and I know I'm leaving out a bunch, but from the West Coast to the East Coast, is there anything that you think that you've adopted or do that's different that makes you more successful on the East Coast? Oh, because it used to be the finesse, but now everyone's finessing, right?
Yeah, well, you guys throw a lot of shaky heads back there. Like, I thought
if you don't have a shaky head, you're dead.
Yeah, I don't throw shaky heads.
Every single boat in North Carolina's got a shaky head.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, you guys throw that stuff religiously, dude. I throw a drop shot a lot. Like, I'll have a drop shot on 365 days out of the year. No, but here's what's the fishing back east now compared to fishing out west. Here's what I think I have an advantage of. Out here, I mean, we have, you could pattern fish out here, right? You could pattern fish, but when you win tournaments out here, you're hunting one fish each time. Like for instance, I just won a team tournament at, a little local lake last Saturday. And you don't really pattern fish out here. You hunt single fish. Like I went and caught this fish cranking. Then I ran this bank and I caught another fish flipping it. Then I fished this drop with a drop shot. There's a lot. I think that mentality of fishing, carried that back east, has really helped me a lot, because there's guys that'll just, what I see a lot, they'll just, they don't have that, like, how do I want to say it? They don't have, like, they're going to run one or two baits the whole day. I could go, okay, this pattern ain't working. I'm going to go do this. Okay, go do that. Go do that. I'll have 30 rods on the deck. And that's normal for me, though. That's like normal. Like, I'm able to do something in 50 foot of water and then go do something in 6 inches of water and then go do something, you know what I mean? I think that mentality has really, like, I don't know, made me pretty successful on the NPFL.
I think you nailed it. Trey and I actually just talked about that today. It's funny that it came up again, but we were talking about some folks we know that have been struggling a little bit in the last year or two on events, and especially events in their home state. And, when you sit back, and it's easy to sit back and Monday morning quarterback it, but when you think about it, it's like they just did one thing because that's how they've caught them before. That's how they caught them on one day of practice. And when that's not working in the first 4 hours of the day or the first 2 hours of the day, they don't do anything to try to adjust, because they're so hemmed in on that one or two baits, like you said, are going to work, and that's how they're going to catch them. Whereas,
I see that a lot.
Yeah. Whereas for you, if that bait's not working, well, I'm just going to go try this. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to run over here and try that. And eventually you're either going to pick up 5 fish, quote unquote, as they call it over here, trash fishing, or, junk fishing, or you're going to figure something out.
Super versatile anglers in California, because that's how we're raised. I mean, that's how you have to be out here. I mean, you have to be I mean, that's the only blessing that I could say, or the biggest blessing I could say from California anglers, is we're versatile, dude. We're very, very, all of them too. Like, if you grew up fishing in California, you're going to be a versatile fisherman forward. Like, instance at Logan Martin that, last month, I wasn't on crap. I was on crap in practice, dude. Like, I was on crap, and I didn't let it rattle me. I don't get rattled no more. another thing I'm pretty proud of myself. I don't get rattled. I don't get like, I had the crappiest practice. It was cold and I was on like a little something. But as that tournament carried on, I figured it out at the end of day 2, and we rallied and we, to a 4th place finish from a crappy practice. But that's that dog in me, dude. That's that versatility in me. You know what I mean? Like we'll figure it out. A lot of those tournaments last year, I figured it out in the tournament. We just had crap, and a lot of those tournaments last year was like a lot of like just weird weather last year in the events, dude. Yeah. Like I wish I could do Santee Cooper over. I was 9th after day 1 at Santee with only 4 fish. I lost like a 7 or 8. My 5th fish just pulled the hooks out of the spook. But when that storm blew in that night, I ended up blanking the next day. But dude, I wish that storm didn't blow in. I was on some dry. I even talked to Patrick Walters, and he goes, "Dude, I was so worried when you came in after day 1 with those fish." He goes, "Because I knew what kind of fish you are, but that was my first time ever to Santee, so I didn't know that storm would really ruin those fish." And that's what Patrick told me. He goes, "I knew when that storm blew in, I knew you were gonna have trouble getting bit down there." And I did,
well, why didn't he tell you?
For the heads up,
right?
You told me after day 1.
Yeah. Well,
right.
With your transition going from the West Coast and now fishing a lot of these southern eastern lakes, your flexibility has really played a role to help you. But has there anything that's stuck out that's been difficult for the transition? Or these lakes any way you continually find how to adjust to compared to the lakes out west?
No, not really, dude. Like
bass, I guess.
More. Okay, no, I more current fishing. There's a lot more current fishing back east than what we're used to. We don't have current fishing out here. I mean, we have the California Delta, but it's not like current fishing. I mean, it's just current play, tides and current in and out, but you're not like out on a break in the river on a bar, you're nothing like that. So current, if I could get the current fishing down, like I feel that's my only, thing I really need to work on is current fishing, even though I did get 8 at Watts Bar and smoked them, but I was just on one spot the whole time. Like you take that spot away and I would have struggled.
Well, you're right about the guys on the East Coast like us. Like we know. So I think the difference though, what you're talking about is a lot of times we'll go where the fish used to be and you'll go where the fish will be. Right. And so like we get stuck on those, current patterns or offshore schools where they usually hang out. But, the dynamics of the lakes are constantly changing, and we are continuously proving ourselves wrong over and over with bass behavior and bait fish behavior and all sorts of stuff. I mean, that's the big argument right now with forward facing is like it's educating us, but I don't know if it's educating us to a fault because I still think there's a little bit of luck that's involved with fishing, regardless if you want to believe it or not. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And I actually was going to ask you about that too, because, current or tidal fisheries are a big deal. It's something I've never really unlocked. I don't have a lot of experience on tidal fisheries. And I don't know if that's helped you out over here on the East Coast because you're constantly fish are constantly changing with the tides. Right. But bite typically gets better when the tide's outgoing or incoming. I don't know,
Well, I keep it simple I fished the Delta my whole life, and I keep it simple with tides no matter where I'm out in the country. I want to be at my best spot because I know when that tide switches, I know, you could have worked a stretch on slack tide or, low tide, and you could hit that same stretch an hour later when it's high incoming or high outgoing and just catch 30 pounds. I know that. Yeah. So I keep tide fishing simple. I want to be at my best area, either high incoming or high outgoing. Mm-hmm. Either or. When that water's moving up high or down, you know what I mean? That's where I want to be at my best area. I just keep it that simple.
So that's part of the education piece. So if you're a tidal fisherman, listen to what Lewis just had to say, because I just learned something. So the next time I go to a tidal fishery, which I don't know when that'll be, but I'm going to check that out. So dude, absolutely. I'm going to jump into the league. You guys got anything? So we talked about the National Professional Fishing League. You've been with them since day one, right? So
Day
4
one.
seasons worth. This is your 5th season. Is it 5 seasons
No, this
now?
is number 4. This
Or
is number 4.
Number 4.
Yep.
How did you got the invite by Major League Fishing? You also had the National Professional Fishing League. What was the deciding factor? Why were you like, nope, MLF, yes, NPFL?
Honestly, I really believed in the NPFL. Like I knew, I just believed in them, and what everything I heard and talked about. And don't get me wrong, MLF. I'm not bashing them, not talking crap. I mean, to this day right now, I'm sure glad I picked the NPFL with all the BS that's going on over there.
Little hindsight,
I didn't predict that, but honestly, just all the stuff that I talked with the owners, it reminded me of the National Guard FLW circuit.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, if this is like that, I'll give it a year. And I started playing things in my head. They're a new company, and if you look at MLF, BPT, basketball, everybody has their stars. Like everybody, so it's hard to be a star when they already got stars. I'm not saying it can't be done, but all the good sponsors are ate up. All the good relationships are ate up. You know what I mean? There's only so much sponsor money, budget that's going, so I really thought of that stuff too. Like it'd probably be easier for sponsor money with the NPFL. They don't have stars yet. If I could grow, if it turns out to be a good deal, I could grow my brand. I could be one of the stars. I could just start fresh, and then the sky's the limit with them. And so far, dude, I'm so glad I made that decision to fish. It was a little rocky, the first couple of years, but I believed in them, dude. I believed in them. I seen the ownership. I built relationships with them. I'm like, this is the deal. Like NPFL is the deal. And you could tell by season 4. Look at our roster. Like, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better from here. 100%. Now the big manufacturers, big sponsors are taking notice. And it's just, I am so glad I chose to fish the NPFL.
Yeah. I mean, I was asked the question pretty early on. I think when Trey and I met, we got to ask a lot. Like if you were going to go fish for a living and that was your goal, where would you go? And since the NPFL started, I've said the NPFL.
We talked about this like one of our very first podcasts.
We talked about it on one of our first ever episodes. Like the
100%, dude.
The vision's there. They're helping their folks get their eyes out there for other sponsors. They continue to grow. They care about their anglers. Like they check all the boxes that us as anglers want to see checked. Right. Obviously, the payouts are getting better. Entry fees are still pretty good. Like the roster's growing with the talent that they started with and new talent coming in. It's really set. It's in a great position, and it has been. And
it's in an awesome position, and I just can't wait for next years to come, because I know the bigger sponsor dollars are going to come. And once those bigger sponsor dollars comes, that's going to free up the NPFL to throw in more prize money for us. Like,
sure.
Like I really could see it, in the next couple of years, 50th place being 10 grand, first place being like 125 grand, the championship being 300. I could see that. And I know it's coming, because that's all, everything's there. The recipe's there. I mean, I don't, and the ownership, they're not, believe me, I understand it's a business. I understand, but they don't, it's just the ownership thinks of it as a family, as just that's what really I like about it. I mean,
it's the culture that they're growing within the NPFL. We've talked about it even as fans, and obviously we get a little bit of inside baseball knowing the owners and them being friends of ours. But when you go to an event, even if you don't know anybody, like everybody is part of the NPFL family, whether you're an angler, you're somebody that's just there to check out the weigh-in. I mean, it was really cool when we were down at Lanier. I mean, there were people that had no idea what was going on. They didn't even know bass fishing was a thing, but they saw this trailer and a bunch of boats, and so they stopped in. And I heard people on the phone like, oh my God, these guys are weighing fish. They're still alive. Like, I didn't even know this happened. And they were talking about it. And we got to talk to those folks.
They came over from the Halloween thing. Right?
Yeah, there was like a Halloween parade. They were in costume and so it's visibility to the sport. And then what really struck me the most was at weigh-in, anglers hung around to see other anglers weigh in and were genuinely happy with finishes and where folks were and all of that kind of stuff. And you don't get that feeling everywhere. So it was super cool to see that culture and
It's
folks,
so cool.
again, if there's one anywhere near you, if it's close and you want to check out a great event, meet a bunch of great people, go to an NPFL event, check out the weigh-in, hang out, talk to these folks. Like, you will not leave unsatisfied. It's really an awesome deal.
And it's just growing, dude. It's just growing. It's growing so much. And just like I said, I can't wait. I knew last year, if we can make it through last year, let's just make it through last year. If we make it through last year, this thing's going to get big. And I mean, look at this year, and I can't wait for next year. I mean, look at the heads that came over and fishing with us, and with whatever. I think it's going to get a lot crazier because just whatever's going on with MLF. I don't know, man. I think something's going to happen over there in the next couple of years where a lot of people are going to be looking for a home. So
sure.
I've said it openly on this podcast for the last year that I don't think they're going to be around in a couple of years. So
I don't think
you're not
so.
saying anything I haven't said.
Yeah. I just don't. And then cutting next year, 30 guys are getting cut, like lifelong pros. Like a lot of people are going to be needing homes. Yeah. So I see this thing getting real big, and
I think we saw the first, and you talked about sponsors. Like, I think we shared and talked about Bass Cat coming on with the league, and like that's that first big brand, that first the first domino to fall, if you will. So once somebody gets in there, they start talking, because the industry's small. You've been around a long time. We've all been around. Everybody that works somewhere has worked at another company, used to work for them, knows somebody that worked for them, their sister works for them, their uncle works for them. Everybody is very tight knit. They're all friends. They all hang out. They all talk. And it's just it was like, you just need that first domino to fall. And now it did. And I agree with you 100%. Like, now the eyes are going to be there and it's going to come.
Yeah, for sure.
No,
especially with
I
the
know
trouble
it right here. I know it in my heart. It's coming.
So you got 120 something anglers on the roster right now. You guys just fished your first event at Logan Martin. What did anything feel different since having 70 something on the roster to 120 something on the roster for your very first event in 2024?
Nothing felt different.
Nothing felt different.
It was the exact same. Just maybe some more talent there, maybe, but I love it. It's just going to grow it. I mean, bring all the elites, bring all the people. I mean, bring it all. I think it's good for the league. It's good. It's going to make, everyone else a better fisherman, that's the end goal. We want to be better, I love it. It's going to bring more sponsor dollars. It's just going to grow it. And I'm all about growing it. Like,
absolutely. What do you think about the number of tournaments? Because I know that's a huge selling point for the NPFL, is having 6 tournaments a year that are relatively spread out, and they fish in different times of the season, which is untraditional for a lot of leagues. So what are your thoughts on that? Is that we are huge supporters of that, but from your perspective, do you like that as well?
I love it. There should be 2 spring, 2 summers, and 2 falls. Yep. You know what I mean? Show the versatility of this anglers. You know what I mean? Show, the cream always rises to the top. Put us through all that. Put us through all these trials, different. Even a lot of guys, complaining, man, we should be in Florida, for the first tournament of the year. Always everybody. Yeah, but like, I get it. 30-pound sacks, bed fishing, and who don't want to do that? But I don't mind going, Logan Martin in January, or when we had Cumberland in, February, March. I mean, it's going to be tough. The weather, but I mean, dude.
And for us as fans, I think we all enjoy it because you all aren't, a lot of the tourists try to go to the lakes at the optimal time. Now they may miss it a little bit, but they try to go at the optimal time. And you all don't always do that. And for us regular folks, we're not fishing lakes, our local lakes, at the optimal time, except for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year, you know. So
Right.
it's awesome to see you all go out there and grind sometimes and see the techniques and see what you're doing to stay consistent and put fish in the boat, because it helps us learn for those conditions that we get faced with most of the year.
I look at it from this point of view too. Like, not everybody can take vacation during the optimal time, right? To go on a fishing trip. I might have to go to Florida in August. That might be when I can get my week off, right? For my 40. So now I can watch these folks do it. I can learn something because the coverage is good. The NPFL and all the anglers do a great job of sharing what's going on. So now I can go down there with a little piece of the puzzle, and kind of, they went down there in July and caught 30 pounds. I can go down there and kind of have an idea of what to do. So I think for the industry and the sport as a whole, it's one of the best things that's happened, and I don't think there's any plan to change that. At least I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope they don't change, because I love the grinder events. Like all my top 5s, top 10s with my win, they're all from grinder events. Like when they're grinder events, I'm usually in the top 10. So I have no problem having grinder events.
So your victory, you have one victory on the NPFL. That was at Lake Eufaula, correct?
Yep.
That was Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I always
should have won Alabama on the inaugural one, but didn't. I was up there, but didn't. I think I got 5th there and missed it by a little bit, but I should have won that one. Dang it.
So for everyone that is new to the show, the NPFL, they fish all 3 days, right? So they have Thursday, Friday, and showdown Saturday. No cuts. Yep. That gives a great opportunity to climb that leaderboard on day 2 going into day 3, or climb it on day 3. We've seen it, right? And that could have happened to you on Santee. You were talking about, like, you made a huge jump, but with your victory on Oklahoma, can you kind of walk us through, if that was a grinder event, how you kind of did it, and then what that felt like holding up that giant, like 5,000 pound shield?
Dude, you follow Oklahoma. Like, this one was real special to me, because here's what when I tell all these young anglers, dude, if you want to win, it starts 2 months before the tournament. I mean, you got to fish. I tell them, you got to fish free, nothing on your mind. You have to plan it out. You have to really do your homework before you even get to the lake. And to win, you follow Oklahoma. All that played out, like really played out. Like, I went and pre-practiced, and I told myself, okay, I know I did my homework. I never fished Eufaula, Oklahoma a day in my life. Never fished it. So I knew, just by the homework, all the information I got, I knew it was going to be a grinder. I knew September, you're going to have 80 to 90 degree water temps. It's already hard enough to catch a limit there throughout the rest of the year, but we're going to be there at the toughest time of the year, September. So it all started at that pre-practice. When I showed up at that lake, I said, you know what? I'm going to spend 4 days of graphing, and I'm not going to graph no creeks. I know the creeks are going to get chewed up in practice. I know those fish are going to get abused, and I know it's not going to replenish. Those creeks are not going to replenish during the tournament. So I spent my whole 4 days graphing the main lake. Because I knew I needed to win this tournament. I needed fish to replenish. And the only chance they'll get to replenish if they're on the main, the main basins. So that's where it started there. I found this set of brush piles, and I am so surprised no one found these, dude. It was just like, I'll get to that, because one angler actually did. So, but I'll get to that. So I found these brush piles. I ended up catching a 4 in this pre-practice, a 4, a 3, and a 2. And I'm like, okay, cool. Waypointed it. Really got to know the area. Spent like 2-3 hours zooming around on my trolling motors, marking every little, because it's out in the middle of nowhere. Marking every boulder, every rock, every stick that was around, within 20 yards. And fast forward to the tournament. Now, I didn't know I was on winning fish. I did not know. Like, I checked them in practice. I just made one cast, caught a 2-pounder, and left it alone. I said, okay, they're here, caught a 2-pounder. Cool. This is where I could probably catch a limit. I went around, just practiced, for those 3 days. First day of the tournament, I was sitting, I think, 12th, and I lost a 4-pounder out there. So I lost a good one, and I'm like, okay, live scoping with the drop shot, brush piles, just moving around out there. Day 2. Let me go back. So we launched day 1. I went out there. I caught a limit by 9 and lost that big one. And I told myself, okay, you did your job. Because all I want to do is catch a limit each day. Because I didn't know I was on the winning fish. Like I said, I didn't know I was on the winning fish. I just wanted to catch a limit, save them. I wanted to catch a limit every day of the tournament. I knew if I caught a limit every day of the tournament, I'd at least be in the top 10, 100%. So I caught those fish by 9, lost a 4-pounder. And then I went, the rest of the day, I went flipping the docks for, a unicorn 5, 6-pounder. Never happened. So day 2, I went out there, caught a limit by 10 o'clock. And lost like a 6, dude. Had a 6 jump off. I didn't get crazy after that. After I caught that limit fish, I knew how scarce bites were, so I didn't want to just start calling out 2-pounders, fish that I could use on day 3. So I left them. I went flipping for a big one. Never happened. So I was sitting, I think, 5th place going to the last day. I told myself that night, I'm like, dude, you lost a 4 day 1 and you lost a 6 on day 2. I said, that's when it hit me. Dude, you do have the winning spot. If you could catch a giant tomorrow and weigh in a good bag, that's when it hit me like, oh my God. And I get to spend all day tomorrow banging on them. I don't have to leave them. I could spend all day. So day 3 came around. I went out there. I had 2 fish by noon. That's how scarce it got, dude. 2 fish at noon. So, okay, let me rewind to day 2 again. Hold on. So day 2, I go out there and there's a little piece of riprap on the bank that I was like, I'm going to go throw top water out there real quick before, I go out and hit my structure. And my structure is only like 40 yards away. So I'm throwing top water. It's only going to take me 10 minutes. Throw a top water. I'm just getting ready to pull up the trolling motor and go idle out there. And here comes Hunter Bogman. Right down on it. I'm like, oh, my heart dropped. I'm like, you idiot. Why did you stop to throw a top water? I'm like, you idiot. So I started trolling motor over there. And Hunter looks at me and goes, hey, was this your spot? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I'll leave it for you. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I'm like, heck yeah.
That's Hunter.
So that night,
that's Hunter, yeah.
Dude, he's so awesome, dude. That guy's so freaking awesome, dude.
Yes,
so much mad love for him, dude. So much respect for him. So that night, he tells me, he goes, dude, what place are you in? I go, I'm in 5th. He goes, all right, man. He goes, if I don't have no fish by noon tomorrow, can I come out there with you? I said, heck yeah, you can. Because I thought I was going to catch my limit by 10 o'clock again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So day 3, I go out there. I have 2 fish at noon. He comes out there, dude, 11:59 noon. He's there. he goes, how are you doing? I go, dude, I got 2 fish. He goes, all right, I'll leave you alone. I'm out of here. Boom, he left.
Wow.
So when he left, I'm like, come on, I'm just live scoping around. After he left, I catch a 5.5. I catch a 3, and I catch another 3. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, dude, I'm 1 bite away. I need another 3-pounder. I'm 1 bite away from, having a chance. I catch another 3 and like another 2.5 come in, and you know how it went down. We tied, and, and what's funny about this tie is I had a dead fish each day of the tournament. So that cost me 4 ounces each day of the tournament. So I had 12 ounces of dead fish penalties along, with my weight, and along, when this tie went down, I go, dude, if I lose this tournament because of this, I'd still be on suicide watch, but but that's how it went down. And to find out how my fish were dying, because I never had a dead fish the prior year. I mean, I take good care of my fish.
Yep.
But I was getting, I started talking to Patrick Walters, and he's like, where were you getting ice? And I was like, at that gas station. He goes, dude, that ice is bad. It has chlorine in it. And I was like,
no.
So that's what was killing each. Yeah, dude.
So how do you know that? That's great for everyone as a learning experience, because we all don't have, Icon bass boats and stuff like that. So
right.
How did you learn? I mean, Patrick told you, but like, how did he know?
You got to look on the bag and
so they're ingredients.
Yeah. Yep.
So don't eat chlorine ice. I didn't even know that was a thing, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's news to me.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna put that in our, and I'm dating myself here, Rolodex of information.
Yeah, they probably just dip it out of a pond. Just
but if you
dumping
look
that
at my
bleach in there to.
that's why Eufaula was so special to me, because every step I took from pre-practice to winning this tournament, it all played out and it all worked. And if you look at my post on day one, I put like something like, sitting 13th or 12th or 13th, and after that I put fish management for this event is very key. Let's start climbing the ladder. And it just played. I mean, everything worked like it was supposed to. Like, I mean, granted, if I would have caught that 4 and that 6.5, I would have blowed that thing away, dude. Like, I would have.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been as dramatic, bro.
Exactly, dude. It would have been. Yeah.
There's no chlorine and dead fish and losing 6s and 4s. And then you tied with Will Harkins, right?
Right. We tied, dude. And it came down to big bag.
Yeah. So, you're hoisting that trophy now. West Coast, does your family ever come over to the events, or is it's just too far of a trek?
It's too far of a trek. My son in the summertime sometimes comes to a couple events with me and does all that, but it's just too far. I mean, I'm sure if they knew I was going to win, they would probably jumped on a plane and been out there. But I told them the night before, I said, I mean, it's a long shot. I'm sitting in 5th. I said the top guys, Trent has to stumble, which probably won't happen. It was just a long shot, so I told him just to stay home. But Trent ended up stumbling. I ended up catching a bag. It just worked out.
Yeah.
But I mean, that one was special to me because it really, all my homework really paid off, dude. It just
where's the trophy at, dude?
Oh, the trophy's right here, dude. Right on the living room table.
Yeah.
Hey, on a spinner.
Dude, you got that thing on a rotating
the lazy Susan.
Yeah, lazy Susan. That's solid, man.
That is awesome.
How did you get that bad boy on the plane flying back?
Dude, I had to keep it in my truck because I leave my truck back east and fly home every tournament. So I had to wait to bring it home on the when I brought my rig home. So it stayed back east the whole time.
Dude, so you had like part-time custody of that thing for like a long time. Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, let's talk about you got that win, man, like super special. I mean, it was meant to be. I mean, you put in a lot of hard work, but we all know, like, I think every one of us in here has a tournament victory at some level, and you really can't explain why it happened. You just know it did, and you're super grateful for it. But dude, like logistically speaking, and we didn't talk about this earlier, but when you kick off the season, you drive here and leave your stuff?
Yep.
Really? So
I drive there. I drive to the first tournament. So here's how my schedule goes. I drive to the first tournament, fish the tournament. Then after that tournament, I drive to the next tournament, pre-practice for a week, and leave it at that lake, and then drive home. And so when I fly back, my stuff's already at that lake, ready to.
Where do you leave your stuff at? Don't give the grid coordinate or anything so somebody breaks in. But like,
no, dude, I leave it, dude. You know what's funny is I told myself when I started fishing back east, that's the hardest thing is going to be leaving my rig somewhere every single tournament. But dude, it's been the easiest. There's always a dude that says you can leave my stuff. You leave your stuff. Here. Always a place. That's awesome. I've never had a problem leaving my rig somewhere, and I never had to pay for storage or anything to leave my stuff somewhere. Always.
That's pretty awesome.
It's so awesome. That always with one of the anglers or one of the fans or somebody. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'll tell you this right now. You guys ever come to our neck of the woods, you can just leave your stuff here because I just want to take pictures with it. You know what I mean? So
make sure you check them.
Bring that trophy.
Yeah. You need to convince Paul and Brad to bring you guys to like, Jordan Lake or well, that's a little small for 125 boats, but whatever. Yeah. Falls. You can do something like that.
Dude, we can do a championship there. 25 boats. Oh yeah.
Hey, dude, let's do it, man.
Mega bag. You were talking about a 30-pound bag the other day.
Oh yeah, man.
We had 2 years ago, and back-to-back days they weighed a 40-pound bag.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Last year in the initial regional tournament series I was fishing, I had almost 20 pounds for 4 fish and came in 12th place out of I think there was 90 something boats there. The winners weighed in 33 pounds day 1,
38 day 1, 33 day 2, wasn't it?
I think it was 29 day 2. But regardless, there's absolutely giant bass here. So for the Bass Warrior, you need to make your way to good old North Carolina. And I will tell you, you can still catch them on a drop shot. Because I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, so like drop shots are big there, but shaky heads are a staple here, of course. Bass Warrior, where'd that come from, dude?
Dude, so and let me show you something.
Yeah, sure.
Look what's on my living room wall. Can you read that?
I do.
Oh,
yeah. Well, and that lights up, right?
No, it's just metal, but it's badass.
Yeah.
Dude, you want to know how I got the nickname Bass Warrior? So
yeah,
it just didn't come like in the last couple of years. It's been since I was like 14. So I'm fishing it. So my dad got a sponsor boat every year, right? From Ranger. So he had this old 375 Ranger he let me use when I was, 13, 14. I was always had to have my brother-in-law tow it to the lake for me, or my mom, or whoever I could, get to tow it to me. But me and my Japanese fishing partner, full-on Japanese, we were pre-fishing for a tournament, and we found these fish back in the river. And I think I was only 14 or 15. We were young. And dude, I'm talking, we were flipping like, I don't know, 24, 25 pounds, just megas. And usually it only takes like 18, 19 to win there. And I'm like, dude, we are on them. We are going to get them. So the tournament that week, the storm came in, all this stuff blew in, and come the tournament, we flew down to this river, and there's a beaver dam across. I mean, not a beaver dam, but like a log jam across there with all kinds of sawdust and logs and this. And he looked at me, he goes, dude, we were just like devastated, dude. We're like, we're not getting in there. And we were just, because we've been amped up all week to blow this. We're young. We're 14. We're like, we're gonna show these guys, dude. We're gonna win this thing. Our first team tournament. We're gonna win by ourselves without our dads. We were just so stoked. And I'm like, I look at him. I'm like, we're getting in there. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, we're gonna jump that thing, dude. And he goes, what? And he goes, I go, we're jumping it. And so, dude, I got going like 40, 50 miles an hour, and we hit that thing, dude, and we flew over there, dude. It looked like a salad shooter hit, dude. I mean, it flew crap everywhere, and we made it over that thing, dude. And he looked, he's all white knuckled and white faced, and he's Japanese, dude. He's like this, just scared. And he looks at me and he goes, dude, you're a freaking warrior, dude. He goes, you're the Bass Warrior.
There it is. 14
dude,
years old.
Oh.
That name stuck.
Awesome.
That name stuck from that day, the Bass Warrior. And we won the tournament. We caught him back there and won the tournament.
That was your dad's boat.
That was my dad's old 375 Ranger with a 150 Merc Black Max.
Did you tell him what you did as soon as you got back?
No. I did not tell him what I did.
Oh my
That
god.
was one of them secrets.
That was before. I mean, you were doing that stuff before Keith Fauché, man.
He was
yeah,
OG.
The Bass Warrior was off the grid back in the day.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, dude. 2024. What do you Amistad, what are your thoughts? This will air. You guys start fishing Amistad, what, tomorrow, the next day?
Sunday.
Sunday.
So I fly in
Day
tomorrow. Pick up my truck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna visit with a couple friends and just take a day just to get rods ready and get equipment ready. But yeah, we start practice Sunday.
So
Thursday.
Yeah, this will air day one of the tournament.
Okay.
So we can't let any information out there, but what are your thoughts on it, man? Have you ever fished it before?
I pre-practiced it after Lanier last year, because Lanier last year was the last tournament. So I was driving home. So I stopped in there and fished for like 4 days. Dude, I wish it was full. Like it's like only 20% full right now. Like I have a feeling the guys that do find them are going to be fishing on top of each other because it's just so little right now. There's not a lot of water. I mean, it's still a big lake, but when you get 25 hammers on a lake like that, and the fish are congregated, you're gonna have guys fishing on top of each other. But I mean, it sets up as I look at Amistad and fishing it those 4 days last year. It really sets up like a Western lake. I know that. Like it reminds me a lot of some California lakes, like the way the fish set up, the way the landscape is, the way, just the whole lake reminds me of a California lake. I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be, not, when everybody thinks of Amistad, they see the old elites, they see all the YouTube on it, they see all these 30-pound sacks. I don't think it's going to be that.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be that. I think the water's too low. It's in a bad cycle right now, maybe. And they just had a tournament last weekend where it did take some good weight. It took like 50 pounds for 2 days. But if you look at like 5th place, it was only like, 25 pounds or 26 pounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? For 2 days. So that tells me right there that the bite's not, and those are local hammers right there. So that tells me, it's not fishing like it should. I think it's going to be a grinder. The fish might be pulling up because of the weather. I know that. But I think.
I was going to ask have any of us heard what kind of their cycle they're in right now down there?
So I know on Fork, Levis did a live today, and he said there's fish on beds and it was fishing really weird.
And that's a long ways for long ways for Fork.
The reality is,
and just so I don't get in trouble because we're not allowed to know info, this is all results from this is anybody could see it.
Everything he just shared was public. Yep.
Yes, exactly. Just so because we got a no information rule and blah blah blah. But everything me and you guys are talking about is public on the record on the computer. So just so it saves my butt.
No, the reality is somebody's going to win, but everybody has a 1 in 25 chance of bringing home the first championship trophy. We haven't even seen it. I think it's probably going to be pretty cool. $100,000. But the cool thing is everybody gets paid, right?
Yep.
And it's all about the anglers. And so you guys are going to have a really special event. And that's a far away place. And you're used to being far away. On the regular tour outside of the competition side, are you doing the whole team deal where you're rooming with a bunch of dudes and stuff? Or are you pretty much rolling solo?
I'm rooming with 2 other guys, Stu Martell and Brian Hatfield, and keep my circle small. I don't like to, I just like to keep my circle small, and that way you got no headaches, no button heads, it just seems to work better when you got a small circle.
That's
right. And guys that I could trust, you know what I mean? But yeah, I can't wait to get down there, dude. I have a feeling that the spinning rod is going to come out.
With the spinning rod,
we might see some jighead and minnows.
Right, dude. Every tournament this year, it seems like.
Dude, it's crazy. I don't even know if I've seen anyone pick up a bait caster this season on any of the live.
I saw Milliken. He caught one on a bait on the live, but I think that.
But I do have to give a lot of credit to And I want to ask you this. So you tied with Will at Eufaula, but then Will won, right?
I almost ran him down too.
Dude, I was going to ask you, crossing, after the fact, did he come up and give you a little shoulder bump? Like you'll get him next time, bro.
Yeah. I congratulated him. I'm like, before he even weighed, I congratulated him. I said, I think you got this, buddy. He goes, dude, I already heard you're running me down on Score Tracker today. I said, yeah, if I wouldn't have had a load, I said, that day 2 killed me if I would have figured it out. Like, dude, in that tournament, I didn't, like I said, my practice was crap, and I really didn't dial in the bite till like day 2. If I would have dialed that bite in at the end of day 1, I know in my heart I would have won that tournament. I know I would have. I almost ran him down, but I just ran out of time.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see how that tournament was won, cranking and shallow. I'm sure there was deep bites going on as well, but it was really cool to see because it kind of debunks what everybody talks about with, the spinning rod and the minnow and all that stuff. It's like, no, there's definitely winning pattern shallow depending on the season and fish behavior and all that stuff. So, no matter what anybody says, like, you can go fish, and fishing with forward fishing sonar is fishing. I don't know why everyone says like, I'm just going to go fishing. I'm not going to go scoping. I'm like, Well, scoping is fishing, like you're casting a fish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it is what it is, bro. But for the rest of the season, you guys got 5 regular season events after Amistad. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
To tell you the truth, I wasn't a fan of this schedule this year. I wish there was more grass, fish shallow. Like, you know what I mean? Logan Martin really surprised me. I was like, cool, Logan Martin, that was a good one. But I look at like Pickwick, I'm like, dang, that's where I struggle on current, you know. Saginaw, I could catch him at Saginaw. I cashed 2 checks there. I was second last year after day 1, but I was all on largemouth. I was catching largemouth. I gotta learn how to catch those smallies there to really, you know. Lake of the Ozarks is I feel is going to be a scope deal. Like that's not really my forte. You know, I could do it. You know, I won Eufaula doing it, but
that's September, right?
Yeah, I think Ozarks is like the last event of the season.
No, October, I think it is.
Yeah, that could be a grind out there in October.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hartwell, I'm not a big fan of blueback herring. You know what I mean? So it's like the St. John River. I think I'm looking forward to that one just because it's got grass and you know but we're hitting that place in September. I talked to John Cox about it. He goes, dude, it's going to be tough. Like, it's gonna be tough.
And you're putting it in a very different area than all of us are used to seeing beef fish. So,
but dude, but you got 3 challenges though, right? 3 ways to challenge yourself. 1, smallmouth. You're like, I'm not a small guy. 2, current, right? Pickwick kicks your butt. Oh, well, that's just a challenge. And then Ozarks, right? Scoping. So whatever, you know, so you got 3 challenges ahead of you. So yeah,
they're going to be all grinder events for me. They're going to be all grind. They're going to be like, you know, put your head on, you know, you're going to have to think, you're going to have to use your head. You can't just go out there and like Logan Martin, when I figured out the bite, I'm like, this is my bite. I don't have to use my head. Like I just got to go fishing. I love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
well, you'll probably have to do that in a lot of events. It's, you know,
right.
But it'll be cool to see you guys. Like you got so many diverse locations that you're going to at different times of the year. That's what makes it the best. And, you know, and a lot of people give like the Sabine River crap. But in my opinion, when the elites goes to the Sabine River, it's one of my favorite events that they fish because, you know, you can start
so
out.
Much versatility come out.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's not the weights that's exciting, but it's the challenge.
I absolutely hate it as a viewer. As an angler, I would love it, right? Because
anybody's got a shot.
As a viewer, it's like not great to watch.
There's a difference as a viewer between watching a tournament that the weights are low, but they're catching fish.
Right.
Yes.
Compared to the Sabine River where you'd be lucky to see 5 fish caught in 8 hours. I mean,
and we've all dealt with those events. Like you can go down to Florida and catch, you know, 50, 12-inch bass or go to the Roanoke River here, catch the same quality of fish and then turn around the next day and drop a 30 bag on them. You know what I mean? So like, it just depends. But like those you said it yourself. You love those grinder events. Well, if they're grinders, then we're challenging you right now. I think you're going to win Pickwick. Ooh, I really think you're going to win Pickwick.
Making the call.
Right?
So, or Saginaw, like Saginaw. Here's the thing. Here's what I got going for me at Saginaw. Like, I got the largemouth dialed there. Like, I mean, so I'm going to spend my 3 days of practice trying to find these smallmouth, and if it don't happen, I know how to catch largemouth there. I don't need to practice. I don't need, you know what I mean? I know how to catch them there. Like I crush them there every year we've been there. I've absolutely crushed the largemouth there. And so if I could just get the smallmouth dial, I think I really have a good chance of winning that one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's a repeat lake. I think the NPFL's been there almost every year, right?
Every
just
year
because,
but one.
Yeah. The host community is amazing. So, I'm going to turn it over to these guys because I know I'm talking a lot, and then I'll hit you at the last.
You nailed them all. We're coming up on an hour and a half.
Yeah, so we're going to get ready to close this thing out here soon. But you know, you got a son that's coming up in this industry. He's got aspirations. You got guidance for him and stuff like that. You know, one of the things that we like to ask, you know, the professional anglers is like, you've already provided some wisdom, but like if there was anything that inspired you, what would you say to these young guys that are up and coming in the game that want to get into the quote unquote industry?
So I would like what I tell these young anglers, because there's so much hoopla out there now. There's so much. You have YouTube, you have this, you have so much glamour now. It's so glamorized now. You know what I mean? And I tell these young anglers, like, don't get started. Like, no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in this. Don't think because you have a little bit of money you could buy this boat and do this and do this. There's no short. If you really want to fish professionally, do it right. Take the steps. You take the steps, you will succeed. Like, but if you try and jump from A to M to Z, you're gonna crash and burn. Or if you do have the money to do it, you're just gonna piss it away because you're just gonna be bombing every tournament. Take the steps. Fish as a co-angler. As I tell every young angler. Do the high school fit now, because we didn't have high school fishing in the college fishing back when I was growing up. I wish we did, but we didn't. But what I tell all these young anglers, fish as a co-angler for at least 4, 5, 6 years. That'll be the most learning experience you will ever. You will learn more from fishing as a co-angler than you ever will in the future of bass fishing. Fish as a co-angler. That's like I even told my son, you're not just because you have a boat and a truck and you know half of your family fishes, you're not fishing as a pro yet. You're gonna fish a co-angler for at least 4 or 5 years more. And he's actually leaving Friday for Clear Lake for the Toyota Series at Clear Lake, and he's all jazzed for that. But fish as a co-angler, do it right. Start building relationships. Like even myself struggle with, I'm getting better now with my social media, but start that social media now. These kids, start it young. Start building your followers. Start building your marketing. Learn how to talk to these, manufacturers, these sponsors, these partners. Start building a relationship now, because I mean, for example, look at Carl Jacobson. You know what I mean? He's on the leash, dude, but he works his social media, his marketing, his partner. I mean, it's on cue, dude. It's one of the best out there. He might not be the best fisherman, but his social media and his it's insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He does it right. His videos, his everything. That's what I tell all these young anglers is, once you build that part, and like me, I didn't even have a Facebook or Instagram till 4 years ago. You know what I mean? Tell my
still have MySpace.
Yeah, right. I didn't have that, dude. I was just like
Hashtag Bass Warrior.
Right. I was never into social media, and my sponsors are like, Lewis, you have to get a Facebook. You have to start. And I'm like, God, I just don't want to. But I mean, that's where our sport's at nowadays. I mean,
sure.
If you don't have that, I don't care if you're the best fisherman in the world. If you don't have that, no one's gonna mess with you.
Adapt or die, dude.
Yeah.
Like figuratively speaking.
Yeah, especially with the forward-facing sonar stuff. Everybody's griping about it. You know what? It's just another tool for the box. Use it as a tool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't use it religiously. Huh?
It's not the end all be all.
No, I don't use it religiously, but I'm glad to have it as a tool.
Yeah.
I could break down a lake 10 times faster than I ever could. You know what I'm saying? Everybody thinks just because you have it, oh, it's cheating, this and that. No, it's just another tool, like, for the box, and it's fast is if we can adapt, if these young guys can adapt to that, adapt to the sponsor, adapt to this, and take no shortcuts, dude, they'll have a successful career professional bass fishing. 100%.
I think the way I like to sum it up is invest in yourself before you ask others to invest in you. Right.
Yep.
So, spend the time on the water, learn, try to educate yourself, be a sponge, soak up the good, disregard the bad, invest in yourself. And then by doing that, you're going to show a value proposition to anybody that's looking to invest in you. So definitely appreciate that, man. A lot of people need to hear it. I think the conversations that we talk about are smoke screens and they really blind people by the reality of like grinding it out in a business such as this. Who cares about forward facing sonar? It's here. Get over it. Right. Start investing in yourself, dude. And that's the way to really be successful anywhere. It doesn't have to be in the fishing world. So I'm going to turn it over to Ben and Pete, man. And then we'll wrap it up.
I don't got any more questions.
You don't have anything?
No, I think the one last thing we have to do at least for Lewis, we got to give him the opportunity
Yeah.
to put all our sponsors there. So go ahead
absolutely.
and let us all know who helps you out to do what you do.
Dude, I have so much help starting from my family. Dude, the first person I got to think is God, dude. Like, I put, if you see all my posts, all my hashtags are with Bass and Bible. And that's just because, I put him first. I run everything through him. And I couldn't do it without him. But as far as my family, all my family who's stuck, beside me since day one, watching me grind, all my sponsors, iRod, been with me since day one. I actually have my signature series rod come out this spring, so you guys be on the lookout for that. It's an iRod 744 in the Corcus series. It's called Bass Warriors Workhorse.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
It's a bad rod, dude. It's a all-purpose, all-around, heavy rod, but it's your grass rod, flipping and pitching rod, frog rod. It's just a workhorse. You're gonna have
just a meat stick.
Yeah, but it loads up real good for like you want to throw toads, buzzers. It's a sick rod. So I got iRod, P-Line. P-Line has been with me since day one, dude. I just had the chance to really use that new Endurex braid they came out with. They just came out with this year, dude. Oh my! You guys got to get your hand on that. It's the P-Line Endurex braid, sickest braid on the market, hands down, 100%. It has no fade with the line. I was actually fishing that tournament last week in that team tournament at Kachuma that we won. And dude, I was literally dragging 70-pound, 50-pound logs back to the boat. So I was flipping, fishing debris mats. And not one time did that braid cut into the spool. It was like mind blowing. I was just like, what the heck? I don't know how they built it, how they came out with this braid, but definitely guys, give this braid a try. It's such a sick braid. P-Line, first gen fishing, Ranger, Mercury, Anglers Marine, Buck and Bass. I'm sure you guys know about Buck and Bass, best rain gear on the market. NPFL, I want to thank them. Fight & Co Plumbing, Cornerstone Countertops, F&J Ranch, and I think that's about it.
Well, since you just, you talked about socials and stuff and getting off of MySpace and moving to Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that.
I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better.
Yeah, I got you, man. Plug all your handles where people can find you on the old TikTok and if you got all that stuff, where can they find you at?
So Lewis Fernandez Fishing on Instagram and Facebook. I just started my website this year, so we've been working on that this year. It's not all the way done, but you can still look it up. LewisFernandezFishing.com. And that's about it.
Okay. We definitely, so hang around for a minute after we end the show, man, so we can wrap with you. We definitely appreciate this time. We know you're headed to Lake Amistad to fish the National Professional Fishing League's 22. It would be those who qualified in the 2023, the top 25 at Lake Amistad for the championship. We wish you good luck down there. The rest of your season. This definitely won't be the last show we do because we want to revisit. Like I said, you got to win Pickwick. So we're putting that on you. We appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of our viewers, all of our sponsors of the show. We couldn't do this without you guys. And Lewis, you're definitely somebody that helps us to continue to grow a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
Absolutely. Anytime.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.